Alright class, welcome to Bar Prep 101. Studying in the nice outdoors today. So, let's dive further into partnerships. We got some definitions here. These are more like acronyms. P-ship stands for partnership. UPA, that's your Uniform Partnership Act. RUPA is your Revised Uniform Partnership Act. ULPA, Uniform Limited Partnership Act. These are acts, they're all acts. RULPA is your Revised Uniform Partnership Act. The bugs are out today. Alright, we're going to go back. I know we did some of this stuff already, but let's talk about your general partnership, GP. A general partnership is created when two or more persons as co-owners carry on a business for profit. Intent to form a partnership is not required. Remember that. Intent to form a partnership is not required. A joint venture or sharing in gross profits does not automatically create a partnership. Creditor versus partner. Creditor versus partner. A person who receives a share of the profits is presumed to be a partner unless the payment is received in payment? Okay. Unless the payment is received in payment of a debt, in payment for wages as an employee or independent contractor, in payment of rent, in payment of an annuity or retirement benefit, in payment of interest or loan charges, or for the sale of goodwill of a business. Next we have limited partnership, LP. LP for short, known them my whole life, LP. LP is composed of limited partners and at least one general partner. Limited partnership is composed of limited partners and at least one general partner. Formation. An LP is formed upon filing a certificate of limited partnership with the Secretary of State. This must include the name of the partnership, the address of the partnership's principal office, name of address of partnership's registered agent, the name and address of each general partner. And it must be signed by all general partners. All general partners must sign to form an LP. Next up, after that, we have the limited liability partnership, LLP. Not to be confused with LP. LLP is your limited liability partnership. In an LLP, all partners have limited personal liability. All your partners have limited personal liability. To become an LLP, it must be approved by the same vote necessary to amend the partnership agreement, and a statement of qualification must be filed with the Secretary of State containing the name and address, a statement that the partnership elects to become an LLP, and a deferred effective date if there is any. So that last one, only if there is a deferred effective date. Make sense? You following along? All right. Filing does not create a new partnership if a GP or LP exists prior. So you can convert your GP or LP into an LLP if you follow these steps. It does not create a new partnership. The partnership remains liable for any obligations before it became the LLP. So converting it to an LLP does not create a new partnership, and the partnership is liable for any obligations that it had before it became an LLP. Amending the partnership agreement. Unless agreed otherwise, the partnership agreement may be amended at any time with a unanimous vote. Next, we have the power and authority of the partners. Power and authority of the partners. Authority to bind the partnership. A partner is an agent of the partnership and generally has authority to bind the partnership for its business, including contracts. This includes contracts. So a partner has the authority to bind the partnership for the business. This includes contracts. Partner is an agent of the partnership. A partner is an agent of the partnership. A partner is an agent of the partnership. Partner generally has authority to bind the partnership for its business, including contracts. To bind the partnership, the partner must have authority. They generally do have authority. But to bind the partnership, the partner must have authority. So there must be exceptions. Express actual authority. A partner receives such authority from its partners. A partner receives such authority from the partners. Differences among partners for acts within the ordinary course of businesses must be approved by a majority of the partners. Acts outside the ordinary course of business must be approved unanimously. If the partnership agreement is silent, a partner has authority for usual and customary matters. Usual and customary matters. If the partnership agreement is silent on the matter, a partner has authority for usual and customary matters. Unless he knows other partners might object or the consultation is appropriate. So if you know better. Ordinary course of business is the normal and necessary acts for managing the business. Ordinary course of business is normal and necessary acts for managing the business. Implied actual authority. Incidental authority. A partner may take actions reasonably incidental or necessary to achieve the partner's authorized duties. This is that reasonableness. You have implied actual authority, also known as incidental authority. Implied authorized authority is also known as incidental authority. And this means if there are actions reasonably incidental or necessary to achieve the partner's authorized duties, they can take it. Apparent authority. A partner has apparent authority for acts conducted within the ordinary course of the partnership business, or of the kind carried on by the partnership. But, there's always a but. A Partners Act will not bind the partnership when the partner lacked authority and third party knew or received notice of a lack of authority. So, Partners Act will not bind the partnership when the partner lacked authority and third party knew or received notice of the lack of authority. For acts outside the scope of business, you need a manifestation by the partnership that partner had authority in order to be binding. Authority to bind the partnership after dissolution. After dissolution, a partner's authority is limited. Actual authority, limited only to acts appropriate for winding up the business. So if you dissolve the partnership, the only authority you have left is to do things necessary to wind up your business. Apparent authority. Partner has apparent authority to bind the partnership if the partner's acts would have normally bound the partnership and the third party did not have notice of the dissolution. So if a third party does not know that the partnership is dissolved, they're acting in good faith and they're trusting the agent, then there is apparent authority. Liability of partners. Liability of general partners. Personal liability. General partners are personally liable for all obligations of the partnership unless otherwise agreed by claimant or provided by law. UPA 1997, partners are jointly and severally liable. Joint and several liability. UPA 1914, partners are jointly liable. So these two things will hold partners liable, jointly and severally. Incoming partners. Partners admitted into an existing partnership are not liable for obligations incurred prior to their admission. So if you joined a partnership later, you are not liable for stuff that happened that was agreed upon before you joined the venture. But there's another but. Incoming partners risk losing their capital contributions to the partnership. I think capital contributions may still end up being subject to being used for prior agreements to settle debts, etc., etc. Judgment enforcement against the partner's personal assets. A judgment against the partnership is not a judgment against the individual partners, but a judgment may be sought against the partnership and individual partners in the same action. So just because a partnership is being sued and they're going after their assets, that does not necessarily automatically mean they're going after all of the members' personal assets, but they can do so in the same action. Generally, a judgment creditor cannot levy execution of a judgment for a partnership debt against a partner unless the partner is found personally liable, a judgment is rendered against the partner, and partnership assets are exhausted insufficient. Partnership assets are exhausted/insufficient to satisfy the judgment. Okay, so you have to have 1, 2, and. So the partner must be personally liable, a judgment must be rendered against the partner, and the partnership assets must be exhausted or insufficient to satisfy the judgment. Otherwise, they're going to take it from the partnership, not the agent, or partner, agent, whatever. Liability of limited partners. Limited partners are not personally liable for obligations of the LP. Exception, they are liable for their own misconduct. You are always liable for your own misconduct. You're at risk of losing your capital contribution. Also, you may become personally liable if the partner participates in management. This is jurisdictionally dependent. Liability for participating in management. ULPA 2001, no personal liability created when a limited partner participates in the management or control of the business. ULPA earlier versions, personal liability is created for participating in management, but removal of a director is not considered participation in management and control. RULPA, personal liability created, but a partner is liable only to persons who transact business with the LP reasonably believing that the limited partner is a general partner. RULPA has a safe harbor provision excluding certain acts from liability. Liability of limited liability, blah, 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 blah. Liability of limitedly liability partners. Jesus. Liability of limited liability partners. Under RUPA, a partner in an LLP is not liable for partnership obligations, but a partner in an LLP is liable for their own misconduct, of course. When the partner signs a personal guarantee for an obligation or for obligations incurred before the partnership became an LLP. So, we're going to end it there on the liability of partners. We'll take it up next time. We'll go back. I think next time we'll do a short overview, go back over agency, pick it up with partnerships again. After partnerships, we have corporations and LLCs, but we'll just keep on keeping on. I'll see y'all next time.